So our process, whether it's planning or investments or insurance management, is what we call client-driven, advisor-managed. And simply put, what that means is that we're constantly trying to figure out what you want and need, and then manage that process from an advisory viewpoint to help accomplish it. Now, built in that is a simple little thought that really is critical, and that is, if you don't know what you want, it makes it harder for us to do our job. So for instance, if you say, I want growth, but I don't want to lose any money, that's really not going to work. If you say, I got to have lots of income, but I don't ever want to take money from my principal, unless you have lots and lots of money, that's probably not going to work either. There are aspects that we spend time talking with clients about, trying to drill down and understand what it is you want to do. In some ways, it's not very complex at all, but in other ways, because we're dealing with two human beings trying to understand each other, it can be incredibly complex. And so my encouragement as we move into the investment portion of this year, and well, I guess we're always in the investment portion, but investment strategies that we go through this year, is the more you know about what you want and the more you understand how what you want will impact your situation, the more you communicate that with us, the easier it is for us to do our job in a way that achieves your goals. So our goal always is to be client-driven, you first, advisor-managed, us trying to handle each piece in a way that will work well for you. I would say built into that is one other thought, and that is, if we can't do what you're asking, we're going to tell you that. It wouldn't make any sense to tell you that we can do something that you don't want us to do, or that tell you we can do something that we can't do. So we work very hard to try to make sure that we understand what you want and then make that happen. I would tell you that sometimes down the road, we find out that as you go through an experience, you might be like, oh, I thought that's what I wanted, but I don't. That's okay. We can work with that. But again, the more you can help us understand what you want, the better we can do our job to help you accomplish that. Because in the end of this, it's right here, helping you accomplish your family wealth goals today, tomorrow, and for future generations. You work hard to build this wealth up. You have to sacrifice to make things happen. You want to make sure you do it well. And so if we're going to do that, the power of compounding, the time value of money, means that we can do a lot today, but even more for tomorrow and even more for future generations if we planned wisely in our planning processes and our wealth management and risk management processes. You know, I talk about this a lot, and I'm sure that most of you have seen this, but it really bears repeating, because we brought in a new client and I went over this with them, and they were very impressed with it. Sometimes you forget how something that you've seen so many times is really critical. So we call this the 3 phases of your financial journey. You have the accumulation phase, pre-retirement, the decumulation phase, post-retirement, and then the transfer phase, when you've passing these resources on to the people you love and care about. Built within that is an understanding that as you're building this money, we want to help you achieve your desired return on life. What is your desired return on life? I said a moment ago, if you know what you want, it's easier for us to do our job better. And that doesn't include just things like your growth or income needs, your risk tolerance. Those are all givens. We have to know that. But if you know what you want, if you know what your bucket list is, if you know what your transitional issues you have to deal with because of family issues or business issues, the more we understand that, the easier it is for us to do our job, because nothing's harder to do than when you go down a path thinking you're on the right track and then something comes in and messes it up. That's why we try hard with our planning processes to stay on top of that, because we know that direction determines destination. If you have identified your destination and we're on the right path to that with that direction, then we're all going to be happy. But if you don't know your destination, it makes it harder for us to do our job. Fact is, I had a client not long ago, about a month ago, that they had done planning with us last year. But when we sat down and looked at it, I said, you know, I don't really feel like we understand your direction. They really couldn't add a lot to it because I think they're still trying to figure it out. And so we said, well, let's just not do planning this year. Let's just work with investment management and help take care of various pieces. But in the end, if we understand the direction that you, or in this case, they want to go, we can put things together much better for that. And to that point, uncertainty is the only thing that's certain. The only thing that I know for certain is that I don't know what's going to happen this year. I have opinions, I have beliefs, I have made predictions, but in the end, I don't really know what's going to happen until I get there. And so we have our plans if things go like we want, we have backup plans in case things don't, and we're prepared for various aspects of this. So all of this together on this little chart, which seems like it's kind of simple, it actually is very complex because it's designed to help you understand where you are on your financial journey, what's next, and then help you to make the most of that along the way as we seek to help you accomplish your desired return on life. We know you need to have return on investment and return on equity. We get that. But return on life, that's what you and I are going to remember most when we are finished with all of this.